You need to hear this if you're a fan of mysteries. Am I the only one that didn't know about the broken circle? Whispers in the night. Darkness shrouded the city. Rain lashed against the windows of 221B Baker Street. Inside, a fire crackled, casting dancing shadows on the walls. I, Sherlock Holmes, sat hunched over a telegram, its contents chilling me to the bone. Missing, it read. Professor Elmwood, last seen at the meeting. Urgent you come. Inspector Lestrade, the broken circle. A secret society whispered about in hushed tones. Professor Elmwood, their leader, vanished. My mind raced. The empty chair, a symbol of absence, a void that speaks volumes. Dawn broke, grey and dismal, casting a somber light over the landscape. As we arrived at Elmwood Manor, the air was thick with an unsettling quiet. A grand old house, now shrouded in an eerie silence, as if holding its breath. The meeting room was in disarray, overturned chairs, scattered papers, and a sense of chaos lingering in the air. Only one chair remained undisturbed at the head of the table, the professor's chair. It stood as a silent witness to the events that had transpired. Lestrade, his face etched with worry, pointed to a silver ring lying on the floor. His eyes conveyed a mix of fear and determination. The professor's, he confirmed, his voice grim. The ring was a clue, a piece of the puzzle that hinted at a deeper mystery. This was more than just a disappearance. This was an abduction. The signs were clear. The disarray, the silence, the ring. All pointed to a calculated move, a sinister plan. Time was of the essence. Every second that passed was a step further away from finding the professor. Lestrade and his team began their search, meticulously combing through the room for any additional clues. Each item, each piece of paper, was examined with care. A map with marked locations caught Lestrade's eye. Could these be potential sites related to the abduction? The team needed to investigate further. Lestrade made a call, his voice steady but urgent. Reinforcements were needed, and the search had to expand beyond Elmwood Manor. The team prepared to leave the manor, their resolve strengthened by the clues they had found. The professor's life depended on their swift action. As the sun set over Elmwood Manor, the once grand house now seemed even more foreboding. The shadows grew longer, and the sense of urgency deepened. Lestrade, with a determined look, vowed to uncover the truth. The empty chair was a stark reminder of the stakes. The professor had to be found, and time was running out. The team drove away from the manor, their minds racing with possibilities. The road ahead was uncertain, but they were resolute in their mission. The empty chair remained, a silent testament to the mystery that had begun. It was more than just a piece of furniture. It was a symbol of the unknown, a challenge that demanded to be solved. And so the search continued, driven by the hope of finding the professor and the determination to bring him back. The empty chair would not remain empty for long. A trail of clues. The investigation began. Each member of the broken circle, we discovered, had a dark secret, a web of deceit, betrayal, and hidden agendas. The clues were like scattered puzzle pieces. A torn piece of fabric snagged on the professor's chair, a faint scent of lavender lingering in the air, and a single muddy footprint on the Persian rug. Each clue a whisper in the darkness, leading us closer to the truth. Shadows of doubt. Suspicion fell on each member of the broken circle. There was Lord Beaumont, the wealthy industrialist, his finances in shambles. Lady Cavendish, the renowned philanthropist, harboring a secret gambling addiction. And Mr. Finch, the quiet antiquarian, with a past shrouded in mystery. Everyone had something to hide, a motive to silence Professor Elmwood. The truth, it seemed, lay buried beneath layers of lies and deceit. The clock ticks on. Days turned into nights as we tirelessly pursued every lead. The pressure mounted with each passing hour. The professor's life hung in the balance. We were playing a deadly game of cat and mouse, but who was the cat and who was the mouse? The answer, I knew, lay hidden in plain sight. We just had to look closer, see through the deceptions, and unmask the culprit before it was too late. Hidden in plain sight. The breakthrough came unexpectedly. While examining the torn fabric under a magnifying glass, I noticed something peculiar. Tiny flecks of paint, almost invisible to the naked eye. A particular shade of blue, Prussian blue. My mind raced. Prussian blue. a rare and expensive pigment used by only one art restorer in all of London. Mr. Finch. Could this be the missing link we were looking for? A desperate search. We rushed to Finch's workshop, a cramped and cluttered space above a bookshop. The air was thick with the smell of turpentine and old paper, but Finch was gone. His easel lay overturned, a half-finished canvas depicting a shadowy figure standing over a well. The well, of course. The old well on the grounds of Elmwood Manor. A sense of urgency gripped me. We were close, so close, but would we be in time? The mask slips. In the quiet of the early morning, the truth began to reveal itself, like a mask slipping off a face. As dawn broke, we surrounded the well, the first rays of sunlight casting long shadows on the ground. The air was crisp, yet there was an undeniable heaviness that weighed on our shoulders. The air was thick with tension, a palpable sense of anticipation that seemed to hang over us like a dark cloud. Every breath we took felt labored, as if the very atmosphere was conspiring against us. Lestrade, his hand hovering over his revolver, approached the well's edge with a cautious yet determined stride. His eyes were sharp, scanning every inch of the surroundings for any sign of movement. "Finch!" he called out, his voice echoing in the stillness. The name seemed to hang in the air, unanswered, as if the well itself was swallowing the sound. A moment of silence, then a muffled cry. It was faint, almost imperceptible, but it was there. A sound that sent a shiver down our spines and made our hearts race. A figure emerged from the well, his clothes torn, his face pale and drawn. It wasn't Finch. The man stumbled forward, his eyes wide with fear and confusion, as if he had just escaped from a nightmare. It was Professor Elmwood, alive but weak. His body trembled, and he looked as though he might collapse at any moment. We rushed to his side, supporting him as he tried to speak, and behind him, a shadowy figure with steely eyes. Lady Cavendish. Her presence was both commanding and unsettling, her gaze piercing through the early morning mist. She stepped forward, her expression unreadable, and the mask she had worn for so long finally slipped away, revealing the true depths of her intentions. Lady Cavendish's face, once a picture of serene nobility, now showed the cold, calculating mind of a master manipulator. Her eyes, once warm and inviting, were now hard and unyielding, reflecting the steely resolve of someone who had orchestrated every move with precision. In a flash, memories of her subtle manipulations and quiet whispers came flooding back. She had been the puppet master all along, pulling the strings from behind the scenes, her true motives hidden beneath a veneer of respectability. The police officers around us reacted with a mix of shock and realization. The pieces of the puzzle were finally falling into place, and the true scope of Lady Cavendish's machinations was becoming clear. Professor Elmwood, his voice weak but determined, began to recount the horrors he had endured. His words painted a vivid picture of betrayal and deceit, of a web of lies spun by Lady Cavendish to achieve her own ends. Lestrade's face hardened with resolve. The time for action had come, the mask had slipped, and the true villain had been unmasked. There was no turning back now. With a nod from Lestrade, the officers moved in, their steps purposeful and resolute. The dawn of a new day had brought with it the revelation of a dark truth, and justice would be served. As the sun continued to rise, casting its golden light over the well, we knew that the shadows of the past had finally been dispelled. The mask had slipped, and the true face of the enemy had been revealed. Confrontation at dawn, the game was up. Lady Cavendish, her composure finally broken, confessed. The gambling debts, the fear of exposure, it had all become too much. She had lured Professor Elmwood to the well, intending to silence him forever. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. The professor had managed to fight back, leaving behind the clues that ultimately led to her downfall. Justice, though long in coming, had been served. A shocking revelation. As the sun rose higher in the sky, casting long shadows across the grounds of Elmwood Manor, we gathered in the meeting room. The air was thick with anticipation, and the tension was palpable. Each of us knew that today would bring answers, but none of us were prepared for the magnitude of the revelation that awaited. The professor, weak but alive, thanked us for rescuing him. His voice was frail, yet there was a certain strength in his gratitude. We had risked everything to save him, and now, as he stood before us, It felt like a small victory in the midst of chaos, but a shadow of doubt still lingered in his eyes. It was as if he knew something that he was hesitant to share, something that could change everything we thought we knew. His eyes darted around the room, meeting each of ours briefly, before settling on the floor. "There is one more thing," he croaked, his voice barely a whisper. The room fell silent, every ear straining to catch his next words. It was clear that whatever he was about to say would be of utmost importance. The broken circle. It wasn't Lady Cavendish who started it. His words hung in the air, heavy with implication. We had all assumed that Lady Cavendish was the mastermind behind the sinister events that had unfolded, but now it seemed we were wrong. There is someone else. Someone pulling the strings from the shadows. The professor's revelation sent a chill down our spines. Who could this mysterious puppet master be, and what was their ultimate goal? The questions swirled in our minds, but one thing was certain: our journey was far from over. We had uncovered a piece of the puzzle, but the full picture was still shrouded in darkness. As we looked at each other, a silent agreement passed between us. We would not rest until we had uncovered the truth, no matter how deep we had to dig or how dangerous the path became. The game was far from over, and the stakes had never been higher. Please like, share, and subscribe for the next episodes. Stay tuned as we uncover more secrets and face new challenges. Your support means everything to us.